Welcome to the Honor and Conquer B-Sides. Again, this show is just 100% raw, unedited, no commercial scripts, no commercials, just me and my phone. So I was kind of just going through my Facebook page and just looking, Facebook has those those memories, you can go back a year or 2 years or whatever. And there was one thing that always stuck with me, and it was something that a good friend of mine said. I won't say his name, just for the sake of privacy and whatnot. But he said, it's really cool how you don't forget your past or something to that effect. He said you don't forget your home, you don't forget that, and he said it to me I want to say a month ago now, just over Facebook. And on a daily basis, I think about that line almost every single day. More or less, I think about it because, as a business owner, as a podcast host, as a husband, as a person, I feel like the past molds you into who you are today. And I know a lot of people know that already, and people know that these things are true. But how can you forget, where you come from? And every time I kind of do these B-side collections, I quickly jot down a note and I say, I'll put, B-side podcast, and I'll put what the subject matter is, and then I'll just rant about that. But all I put for notes for this one was don't forget your roots. And and for me, being an only child, and my mother being a solo parent, life was very, very simplistic. I've been in America for over 3 years, or 2 years now, over 2 or 3 years, and there are still things that I have no idea what most people are talking about, like TV shows that Americans grew up with, like The Real World. We didn't get that in New Zealand. South Park, if you were rich, you got to watch that, but for my mum and I, we weren't rich, and we didn't get that channel that South Park was on, Channel 4s. We didn't get that, so we only had Channel 1, 2, and 3, and those are the names of those channels. So we only had 3 channels growing up. So what we had was, more New Zealand shows, more Australian shows, more English shows, and apart from all of that, because I didn't have any siblings or anything, my friends became, the people who molded my life. So first time I had drink of beer or drink of any type of alcohol, it was with my mum's friends at McDonald's, and with my high school friends. Oh, sorry, not high school. Was it high school? Yeah, I think it was high school. Yeah, high school friends. Clinton, Josh, Regan, and Charlie, Charles, Johnny, and I think that was it. But the main staple. But those were my first times getting drunk with them, and that molded me into drinking a little bit too much, so much that I never drank again. Now being 28, still haven't drunk anything. So touched a sip. And on top of that, the music scene and being within the music role and things I learned through there, and being kicked out of Ricky Bobby, that was the hardcore band name that I was in, being kicked out of there. And I don't know if I was really kicked out. I think I was just kind of pushed out. I think the decisions that I made definitely impacted my role as a bass player within that band. And I mean, looking back at the time, it sucked, but looking back now, I was like, fuck man, I would have done the same thing. That version of Dion was a bit of a dick, but definitely gave me more opportunity to kind of go outside of my comfort zone. I had nothing but music, and with all those people that weren't there, all of a sudden they weren't there. So that were there, all of a sudden they weren't there. So it was just me, my friend Anthony Wade, and then I found kickboxing. I can't believe how early I found kickboxing. 2011? 2010, 2011? Maybe even 2012. I can't remember. But I found it then. I started training in that. And without really knowing, I made a whole bunch of new friends. And I still remember them today, Sammy, Gene, Matt Deeks, Joshy boy, Josh Cooper, rest in peace, brother. Just the thinking of all the people now. Even with Eddie Fata, who was my very first Muay Thai coach, finishing work, going to the gym, which was a Boy Scouts hall, and training, just kind of liking it, kind of not liking it. At that time, I was more into buys and tries, just going to the gym and just lifting weights and getting your sweat in that way. But then the more I started doing it, I changed gyms from Omega Fight Force to Scorpion and really enjoyed doing that. I kind of stuck with it, and then along the way you make friends, and then the principles and teachings that you got through anything, they stick with you. And then obviously I found CrossFit through my wife, through family friend Miles, and then found my wife Megan. Still married 3 years. 3 fucking years we've been married. Dang. But and obviously different perspective of fitness through CrossFit. In Muay Thai, it's very anyway. How I was brought up was all serious. There's no room for fun and games, no jokes, no nothing. It's the joking's before, and even before you're not really joking. You kind of know what the task at hand is, and you kind of just jump into it. But through CrossFit, it was definitely flipped on its head. It was more have fun, show up. Have fun with friends, do the workout serious, but have fun afterwards. And that was just a new concept to me. And now, being 28 years old, being the New Zealander, being the foreigner in another country, definitely puts a new perspective on how to approach life. And even working with Lululemon, Lululemon has definitely impacted me. Personally, has impacted me business-wise. It has impacted me how I look at the world and how I look at people day to day. Has definitely changed my perspective a lot. So anyway, going back to the root of what this B-side episode is about, is not forgetting that stuff. You can acknowledge it, but ultimately, these things that we create, these things that we experience, the words we hear, the things we see, we can dictate it. We can't manipulate it, but we can somewhat control the information that we get in through these outside sources. And it's up to us to try to figure out which one is the right one, which one is the wrong one. But at the end of the day, we can't remember those who have taught us those values, those important things. And I still get teary-eyed to this day. I was thinking about it today, and I almost started welling up. It's a song called "Welcome Home" by Dave Dobbin. The first time I went back to New Zealand before Christmas in November 2014, I really I had a plan. I really wanted to listen to "Welcome Home" by Dave Dobbin as I touched down into Auckland Airport, but I didn't get the chance to do that. This is what I had in my brain. I wanted to, as I was coming in, hear the opening chords of "Welcome Home" coming in. But I do remember getting into New Zealand, Auckland. The sun was out. It was, I think, 5 o'clock in the morning, And I remember the first thought, I think I'll remember this for the rest of my life, because I don't know when I'm going to go home again, but I remember this for the rest of my life. It was, I can't believe I'm on Air New Zealand flight, and I've travelled for 14 hours, and I'm finally in New Zealand. I'm finally home. And I have to have another 10-hour layover. I had a 10-hour layover in LA, and then I got on the New Zealand flight. And then I had another 10-hour layover in Auckland. Then I had to catch another hour flight to get back to actually where I'm from, my hometown. But, that's neither here nor there. But the 10-hour layover is something I needed, and being in Auckland and where Megan and I lived for a good year. Megan and I we still think that, New Zealand and Auckland was probably the best place that we lived. And living in the moment, I didn't understand it. I guess I didn't get it. But we had a lot of freedom. We still have freedom today. We definitely do. But we had, we were 2 minutes away from Queen Street. And if you know what Queen Street is in Auckland, you know what I'm talking about. Walked outside, we're there. I loved my job in Lululemon. I started with Lululemon there. Loved my job. I loved the friends that I kept. I loved the location we were living in. Definitely loved the life. And I couldn't believe on that plane that I was back here. The only thing that was disappointing was that my wife couldn't join me, and that was really upsetting. But it's those moments in time that you'll never forget, and you want to hold on to those ones. And as I'm talking about it, my eyes are closed, and I'm picturing it all, and I'll never forget it, and I'll always remember it, and I'll always hold it very dear to my heart, because where I am from and where the things that I have seen and the things that I've heard and the things that I've done, some of them they're a reflection of me, and then some of them are just growing stepping stones. And I'm just so proud that I can be here in America as a business owner, not a small business owner, as a business owner. There's no such thing as a fucking small business. You're a business owner. There's no such thing as a fucking entrepreneur. There's no such thing as a fucking small business. You're either good at it or you're not. And I call myself a business owner. So all those teachings and everything, I'm here in America as a New Zealander, as a foreigner to this country, launching a business that people enjoy, I hope, and people love. And everything that has come into Honor and Conquer as the business, it's all being molded through my personal life experiences and through those people who have taught me good things and the bad things. So I guess there is no real message in this. I guess if you're ever... Okay, let me leave you with this then, yeah? Let me leave you with this. If you ever have a time where you're kind of thinking, if you are a business owner or you're not a business owner, you're just trying to get through fucking life, because life itself is fucking difficult. Let's be honest. Just really, really try super hard to remember the steps you've taken to get here, the sacrifices you've made to get here, and what you want to see achieved from all that sacrifice and hard work. Because there is no real recipe, man. If you really, really want it, if you want to make it work, you gotta, like my good friend Tom Dewett, is you have to be process driven. You have to enjoy the process. You have to get up, you have to go with your friends, you have to enjoy being with your friends, you have to enjoy being in that pressure, you have to enjoy being in that uncomfortable situation. and we don't know what the outcome's going to be, but we have to keep working for what we love, working for what we do, working for what we believe in, and just try and remember that moving forward. Alright guys, this has been another episode of the B-Sides. Raw, unedited, no fancy hookups, no fancy shit like that. Just my phone and me talking about things that's in the heat of the moment. The heat of the moment. If you want to support the Honor and Conquer podcast, though, go to honorandconquer.com, scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page, click the Amazon wishlist link, and you can purchase some items for the show itself. And also, if you do your shopping on Amazon, you can click our affiliate link, and you can do your normal shopping like you normally would through the link. So every purchase that you make, we get a kickback, and we love you for it. But yeah, thank you guys. Goodbye.